Assalamu alaikum. I'm with Richard Asmet Awid, an interpreter with the Fort Edmonton Park for the Rashid Mosque. Richard, tell me about how the mosque came to existence.
Okay, the mosque came into existence after a lot of discussion on the part of the Muslim pioneers who were living in the Edmonton area. And the Muslims at that time were all business people. And they were very young because they came into Canada between the ages of 15 and 20 years, and they grew with the country itself. And so by 1938, the Muslims became very concerned that their culture and religion were being lost. They said, we love Canada, but also we love our culture and religion. And in order to save that culture and religion, they said, we have to do something about it. So they started to hold a number of meetings, and these meetings were very important because they would lead up to the development of the mosque being built. Now, these meetings that took place were not just one or two meetings. There were a number of meetings that took place, and after the meetings were concluded, they drew two conclusions. The two conclusions were either they should build a community center or they should build a mosque. They said if we build a community center, maybe the religion won't be of value when the community center is built. And they also said if we build a mosque, maybe no people will come and pray. So they were wise enough to say that we will build a building that will be both a community center plus a mosque. So the upper level of the mosque would be for the religious services. So they could pray in the upper level, they could hold weddings in the upper level, and do anything else such as the burials, the funeral services at the upper level. They would have a complete basement as well. The complete basement would allow for the social activities to take place. There in the basement they could meet with their friends after the religious prayers were over. They could also go ahead and have special meetings. They could teach the Quran, they could teach the Arabic language, and quite important, they were able to invite the outside community to come to the mosque and be part of a fundraising suppers so many Sundays in a year. And those fundraising suppers played a very great important part in how the Muslims were accepted in the Edmonton area. Because the fundraising suppers invited the outside community to come and join the Muslims. The Muslims got to know the outside community got to know the Muslims. And it's my belief that because of this relationship that was established back in those days, through the understanding of the Muslim community at that time, that we really did not have much discrimination taking place against Muslims in the Edmonton area. In fact, we would have to probably go back to the war, the First World War time period, where there was some discrimination because Turkey was considered as an enemy at that time, and there were some Muslims who did leave Canada at that time, and the immigration policy did not allow for a number of the Muslim people to come into Canada. But those suppers, I honestly would like to say over and over that they were extremely important and did stop discrimination against Muslims from occurring. And as a result, we have a very good understanding. The Muslim community has a very good understanding with the outside community today in the Edmonton area. The mosque Once it was completed, it allowed for the Muslims from across Canada, and there weren't that many Muslims in Canada at that time. We're probably looking at 2,000 or 3,000 Muslims all across Canada, but it did allow for the Muslims to come to one central location to do their praying. Before the mosque was built, people would be invited into the homes of their friends, and they would do the praying in the home. But now, with the mosque being built, it allowed for people to pray in one building, and the mosque did attract people to Edmonton. They moved into the Edmonton area just because the mosque was here, and they could be with their fellow Muslims, joining in prayer together. And this played a very important part in the development of the Muslim community. The Muslim community grew until 1980, and the population was approximately 16,000 people. And they probably came from about 30 countries at that time. Today, the Muslim population in the Edmonton area is about 70 to 80,000 people, and they represent over 70,000 or 70 countries of the world. We should also realize that the mosque, after that population growth up to 16,000, the mosque was too small for the Muslim community in Edmonton, and therefore the Muslim community decided to build a new center called the Canadian Islamic Center, and that center would cost between $1 and $3 million to build. And because of that, the center had taken away the financial help that could be given to the mosque, the first mosque built in Canada.
Richard, thank you very much for your time on this era of our Muslim history.
Oh, you're welcome.